So there obviously has been a lot of videos popping up with Forza Horizon 6 from all the early access the content creators have been putting out, guys. And to be honest, I wanted to talk about some of this stuff as I have been going over a bunch of the videos, watching a lot of stuff, and kind of just analyzing things, and I really wanted to give you all my honest thoughts so far. Now, obviously, I didn't get to play it, but I'm sure all of us are super excited to play this game in May, so I kind of watched all of it, and I was just getting hyped up because I really do think a lot of positive things were done in this game, despite, some things, not everything, I guess you could say, that players were looking for probably didn't make it into the game. But I also feel like a lot of great positive changes did end up happening on top of it. One video I did want to talk about a little bit, guys, and also go over some things here is probably my favorite video, honestly, I have seen on the early access. I believe his name is Hokihoshi. I think that's how you say it. Probably didn't pronounce it right, but his video will be in the description below. I probably watched this video like 3 times. It was so well put together, and it was really getting me super excited to play this game. But there's a lot of great things mentioned in this video that kind of resonated with me, but I feel like other players probably watched it and went, yeah, bro, I feel the exact same way. One thing in particular that he was talking about is simply down to how this map, for one, might look smaller upon first glance of, let's say, looking at Forza Horizon 5 to Forza Horizon 6. I did see a lot of people going, dang, bro, this map is smaller. Well, guys, it does turn out it is obviously not smaller. It is around 25% bigger, as was mentioned in the video, with how the map does end up looking. I'll show you guys part of this video, obviously, in the background. And I kind of laugh though because, well, yeah, the game does look bigger. Everyone's like, man, it looks smaller. That city's a really big disappointment. Talk about that here in a little while. But I kind of laugh because I went, no, bro, the map is clearly bigger. But Hokie had a really good point in this, though. Just because the map might look really smaller, guys, you can have a smaller looking map, but the overall density design in that map can make such a big difference of how it looks overall and how big it looks. Because you can actually notice different things about the map when you're playing through it. Let's say if you could see everything right from one area, or it doesn't look all that interesting because you could kind of see everything, I guess, a little bit easier. But when a lot of things are more dense with having a lot of hills or going over a certain area or having elevation changes, which I have talked about in other videos, it does make the map feel a lot more special, but also a lot bigger in a lot of ways because it doesn't feel like you're on the exact same spot, right? This was honestly something I wasn't the biggest fan of in Forza Horizon 5. I will admit that, on how you look at the map, and yes, you do have the tall volcano. Obviously, that looks above everything else, or, you can look there and kind of see everything. But if you go around the map, though, there is a lot of just kind of flat, more areas, I guess, when you are on the bottom part of the map, and it's not really all that interesting. Which is also probably part of the big reason why a lot of people are like, yeah, dude, this map ain't it, bro. I want a different map. And now it looks like Forza Horizon 6 really is kind of hitting every part of that aspect that a lot of players really wanted, man. I mean, I did mention this in the other videos, but we obviously do have every part of this map that players have wanted. We have really dope mountain roads, and seeing the gameplay, dude, it makes me mad excited to drive around these roads and kind of just explore. I can already see the cruises and the convoys people have going around these mountain roads and kind of just cruising around. Also, the drift trains on the really tight, like mountainy toge roads that we will also end up seeing really makes me super excited, man, because this is something a lot of players have wanted. And yes, you could probably argue that some of the roads might look a little bit too wide because in some areas, man, I will admit they do look pretty big. You could probably fit a small bus on one of them. It would probably go over the entire lane, if you know what I'm saying, sideways for that matter, which does kind of make me laugh a little bit. I will admit that. But the other part of the entire density thing I did want to touch on here, though, is obviously, as I did say before in Forza Horizon 5, it probably feels like you can kind of see everything too easy, or it doesn't really feel like anything is changing when you're driving on that map, which in return, you can have a huge map, but it can also feel very small in the same part of that. It seems like in Forza Horizon 6, though, you can't really see everything. There's a lot of valleys, there's a lot of dense forests, there's a lot of, I guess you could say, hills and mountains everywhere that kind of separate everything. But with that, it can also make the map feel a lot bigger when you are traveling in different parts of it. And to be honest, this is something in a map I really did want, dude. I feel like this is something a lot of players also will really enjoy once they jump into it. As so far, looking at this, dude, there's a lot of great driving roads, a lot of areas in this map that I feel like will make it probably overall bigger to a lot of players. You know what I mean? I think once they probably jump into it and play it a bit, looking upon the overall map concept, of course, it's going to look tiny, bro. But once it seems like you're in there, though, it really does seem like it is probably going to feel a lot bigger than Forza Horizon 5 or even 4 because of the overall elevation changes they've added to this, man. And that makes me really excited to play this. I got to admit that because that's probably something a lot of players did want. Not like the entire sight line of being able to see everything, but it also makes it so things might feel more distant, as he did mention in the video, or even farther away because you can't obviously see it. But because we are on the entire subject of the map itself, we might as well talk about some of the race circuits as well, guys, because I gotta admit, seeing the footage of these get me super excited how they do obviously look different. Some of them are going to have, like, really, it almost looks like a very tight, small track, and to be real, I might spend a lot of time on those because they will be super fun to go as fast as you can, get the perfect line with some of your favorite cars, or just simply drift around them, bro. And then there's also other ones that you can have different like routes in it because it's not going to be like a circle or like a tiny route. There's all kinds of different routes you could even go in there. And then, as he did mention, people can also make different races. So that does interest me a lot when it does come to the main race circuits. And I gotta admit, the entire Legend Island thing, bro, the track on there from the footage he was showing, it looks pretty dang wild, man. That looks like a full-on track, bro. I'm really looking forward to checking that out. Apparently, the Legend Island is locked to later on when you are in the story, so I'm wondering how that's all going to play out. But because we're on the entire subject of, the map here, why don't we talk about the city as well? Because this has been a very big topic, man, that a lot of people have been talking about, dudes. So I did want to talk about this a little bit. People are saying that the map, oh, look at the city, man, it's so small. I've been seeing a lot of comments about this, bro, and I've been really zooming in, watching a bunch of different videos, dude, and I gotta admit, the city is by far not small by any means, dude. And in fact, this is probably the biggest city, which is most likely not the obvious thing ever. Am I right? It is bigger than any city we've had in a Forza game, bro. This is coming from someone who has been in Surfer's Paradise recently in Forza Horizon 3. Somebody said it does not look bigger than that, and I'm like, did you play the game recently, my dude? Because I can tell you, it is way bigger than Surfer's Paradise. Guanajuato wasn't even all that large, to be honest. This place is way bigger. Someone was comparing it that it was apparently larger than 5 times the size, which is what he mentioned in the video, and I can kind of see it because the city of Tokyo here in this game, it looks way bigger, and I think people are going to jump in there and go, yo, because I can tell y'all right now, nighttime in this city area, bro, might be one of my favorite areas to cruise. Like, I'm just going to say that. It's probably going to be so dang dope at nighttime. Imagine cruising around that city at nighttime, bro, with your homies and just kind of just driving around, man. Get me there. I'm down. It is going to be amazing. But not only the city part, though, that kind of interested me, as there's a lot of cool areas in there. You can also say that not every single place in the city is drivable. Like, you can't just go into all the little neighborhoods and all that, as it's kind of like just in the map that he did mention, which honestly is not a huge deal. But I will admit, maybe being able to go into some of those areas or having like one tiny little road that can bring you through that neighborhood would have honestly been pretty dope. It looks like some of the alleyways are working, which is pretty cool. Not every single one of them is drivable, but there is going to be some in there, so I do like some of those aspects. I mean, that's a positive for me. You know what I mean? I think that would still be pretty dope. And the other part of that they talked about, though, is the highway. We all do know part of the C1 loop is on the highway, guys, but I have to be real here and say the highway gets me super excited because he did mention that there's multiple areas, on ramps, all different things in the city for the highway. So it's not just like one singular road that's there and that's it. There's other places in there that you can also, race around and stuff and go explore on the highways. It's not just a singular, like, just a 2-lane road that is it. There's other parts there from like the under part of the bridge to on top of it. So I am liking the way that looks. Speaking of the entire highway, bro, I gotta admit I'm pretty dang excited when seeing this gameplay because he mentioned in an A-class car, it took him around 10 minutes to get around the entire highway at around 150 miles an hour. So if you ask me, bro, that's a pretty decent size for a highway there. I really do think that sounds amazing. And the other part is, he did say this as well, and I was looking at the map photo again. The highway doesn't go around the entire map in a way. It's kind of like a part of it, as not every part is around the highway. So I am going to be real here and say, I gotta admit, guys, despite some of the things about the entire map that people are saying, now don't get me wrong, I 100% understand where people are coming from with this, that, some aspects of the map are really not being captured like they really should be for Japan and all that, which, you know what, dude? I get it because honestly, I feel like you probably could go all out with it and add some insane things in there and really capture Japan. You know what I'm saying? I do understand they have a lot of cool landmarks and all that stuff in there, which I really do like. But I also do understand where players are coming from, man. They were probably expecting the city to be like 5 times the size that they were showing. But I also kind of understand that that's probably not doable, at least in this game, I guess. And I guess also I'm on the weird side of liking how the city is designed in this game and how they did end up doing it with the overall map design. Honestly, looks pretty dope to me, bro. I gotta admit that. I love the way the mountain pass roads look, which he also did mention and show that that road is super close to the real one in real life, which is awesome. I'm not gonna lie, this game might end up making me go to Japan, dude. Like, it really might. It's already kind of doing that, seeing how the game is. I might have to do that anyway. But the other thing I did want to mention here, quick though, is it's something a lot of people have been talking about the overall life of the game itself. What I mean by that is the NPCs, the traffic. We all do know for a fact right now, guys, you're not going to see the NPC level or the traffic level of, let's say, Midnight Club Los Angeles. I will even go out on a limb here and say for that racing game, it probably has one of the most densely populated maps I think ever. What I mean by that again, traffic and also the people walking around. Because I think it's pretty dope the way that they'll move around and get out of the way and stuff when you are racing. And I think that's what people are kind of wanting, bro. And I had a feeling that wasn't going to happen in this game. I didn't think they were going to have pedestrians everywhere because I don't think they actually can. I kind of wonder if maybe licensing is playing a role there somewhere with maybe they're just like, maybe the manufacturers are like, nah, bro, we don't want even like going towards somebody and then they, run out of the way. I don't really know, dude. But I gotta admit, I do like how they did end up trying to add pedestrians in some place in the game. If you go into like the park, there's obviously no one there, but you can see people in a good amount of parts of the city itself. And then they also showed at the racetracks, you will end up seeing people walking around there. So I gotta admit, that's pretty dope. At least there's something. There's obviously the birds flying around. They did end up showing the fish as well. Somebody mentioned in that IGN video that we're apparently also getting cows or other animals in some of the areas. So I gotta admit that also does, show life because let's be real, guys, most of the modern racing games nowadays, we could say this easily too. There is nothing in most of the modern racing games, man. Tell me when I'm telling lies. There is legit no people in Motorfest. There's no animals. Like, yeah, a couple of the festival areas, there's a few people, but there is literally nothing anywhere. In the Crew 2, there's animals everywhere, all kinds of pedestrians in different places. It made the game feel more lively, and I think they tried to capture a little bit more of that in this game. When it does come to the overall traffic part, sure, you're not going to see like 500 cars everywhere, guys, but I'm going to be real. Too much traffic can honestly get kind of frustrating, bro. Okay, here's the reason why I can say this is I did end up playing all the way through Midnight Club Los Angeles again. I mean, heck, I might even play through it again on the Series X. I played it on the PS3. I loved it. Really did enjoy the game. But I have to admit, though, a lot of traffic, man, can get kind of annoying, dude. Like, do y'all really want to, as Hoki mentioned in the video, would you guys really want to drive through the city when it's like rush hour, when there's literally hundreds of cars everywhere? I feel like it might be kind of cool a few times, and you're like, bro, can y'all please get out of the way? I also kind of feel like some of that just kind of hit me, man. I feel like some of that really will be a thing because going through and seeing too much traffic, I also think is an issue. Could they maybe turn it up and have more traffic in certain places? Yes. I think that would probably, work in ways, but maybe they can't because of the performance or something that was mentioned. We really have no idea. I mean, would you guys sacrifice some performance for the game running better to have less traffic? I mean, I kind of think people maybe would do something like that if I had to imagine. The other part in this, though, he was talking about, which honestly had me laughing because I was pretty happy to see it as well. You guys probably noticed how the helicopters are now moving in the game, which is pretty dope. I believe in the Rally DLC in Forza Horizon 5, I remember something like that. So that is now in the game. And also the boats finally move. Those are the little details. I've actually seen people mention things about that, and now, before the trailers came out, it looks like some of that's in the game, bro. If you go play Forza Horizon 3 or something like that, bro, or even 2, the boats are just sitting there, man. They ain't moving, bro. They're just sitting there. Now at least the boats are moving. Again, some of these details might be kind of dumb, but also it does make the world feel like it's a little more alive. You know what I mean? Similar to the other 3 trains that are apparently in the game. There's 3 different ones. You'll see the one in the middle of the city, also the bullet train. Then there's also another train that will also stop in certain towns. Again, it's like a little piece of detail, that they add to make the game feel a little bit more alive. And I gotta appreciate that stuff, man. I mean, it looks pretty dope how they're adding that. Now, again, I think people might find some of this a little bit dumb as they could focus on other things in the game. But you know what? At least they're trying to do better than what the previous Forza games have done, or they built upon that and upgraded it compared to what the other games have done. I still feel like that's a positive. To be 100% real though, going through and watching a bunch of different videos and seeing parts of the map and seeing the highway, seeing the car, seeing the customization guys, it does seem like a lot of things took a big step in the right direction. But I also feel like players probably expected more like the overall customization, which to be real, man, I 100% get it. I did mention in that customization video that a lot of people are saying, well, there's so many cars in the game that they really can't customize them, but I mentioned maybe they could target a select amount of cars, add the dope customization, crazy stuff to those that would fit the culture of the game itself. Pick a bunch of JDM cars, pick a small number of them, allow crazy customization on those, and then boom, that would probably make a lot of players happier, man. I really think it would. Adding more customization to those, like maybe exhaust, maybe additional wings, all kinds of stuff, to make it feel like they were like, yo, these cars can have a lot of customization, but these over here, man, you can't do much to those. As I feel like a lot of these supercars anyway, people aren't looking to add 14 different aero kits to one of those. You know what I'm saying? But something on like an R34 or maybe like an NSX, even like maybe a Civic or something, people might want to have 4 or 5 different options for those. So I definitely understand that stuff, and I feel like that probably would have been better. With all of that being said, though, we also then have the garage, which honestly, dude, the garage looks super cool. That's obviously a huge step. We have not seen anything on the estate yet. Looking forward to hopefully seeing something on that in a future video before the game does end up dropping. Kind of not much going on with the estate thing. There's obviously that big part of the map. If you look at it, you could see like the circle thingy where there's nothing. So I'm wondering how that's all going to work out. It's probably going to be pretty interesting. But besides all of that, though, I really do like the way this map is looking. At least for me personally, I do think they hit a lot of great things with it. Is it hitting every single part people were expecting with the game being in Japan, man? Well, to be honest, probably not. But I do feel like overall, though, the map does look like a pretty big positive. Now, if you're looking for a better map than Forza Horizon 5, bro, you're obviously going to get that. And in fact, this map will probably be the best map we have seen in Forza so far, if I'm being real, with hitting most of the aspects players have wanted in it. A lot of the hilly roads, you'll have the drifting type of, tight toge roads. For me, though, the hilly and mountainy roads, bro, look so dang awesome. You have the snowy area in the mountains there as well. You have the big city, you have the open plain area, you got the coast side, man. Like, it's all there. Trying it every single area. And also, don't forget, bro, we will have the seasons on top of all of that stuff, which I can't wait to see how the map changes during it. Like, for example, going through the toge roads and seeing the pink blossom, the cherry blossom trees with the pink leaves everywhere, and then seeing the cars drift through, seeing that fly up. Looked pretty awesome to me, if I'm being real. But overall, though, guys, I could probably keep yapping. I definitely can keep yapping. Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below overall from what you have seen so far. I gotta admit, from a lot of the gameplay things I am seeing, a lot of things look positive, but I also do understand where people are coming from on a lot of different things in this. And you know what, dude? Everybody does have the right to their opinion on things, and everyone does, go, well, I like this, I like that. That's totally fine. Who knows? Maybe some of those things will be taken into consideration for the next Forza game.